Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take the sources you share with us and distill them into the core knowledge you need.
And today, we are diving into probably the most foundational figure there is.
Absolutely. We're talking about the being known really only as the First Spinjitzu Master. He's the architect, the grandfather, the warrior, and maybe the ultimate paradox.
He really is. His entire story is defined by that duality.
Right. So we're looking at a creator who was born from two forces, creation and destruction, that were literally at war with each other.
Okay, let's unpack this. What kind of being does that produce?
Well, that internal conflict is the key to understanding him. The sources are very clear. He was a hybrid, part Oni, which is the force of pure destruction, and part dragon, which is the force of, pure creation.
And he's born right into the middle of their war.
Into the realm of Oni and dragons, yeah.
All right.
An environment of just constant world-shattering conflict. And this wasn't just like a physical thing, it was a massive psychological and spiritual burden.
So what was his first big move? His very first act of consequence was just refusing to choose a side. Oni wanted him, the dragons wanted him, he said no. And that refusal, it wasn't apathy, it was compassion.
He saved them from each other.
In a way, yes. His neutrality was powerful enough to stop what could have been a genocide of one or both species. But it also made him an outcast. He became an exile the moment he was born, and that need to flee is what led to, well, everything else.
So he's essentially a refugee, heartbroken by this war, but he's carrying the ultimate power of both sides inside him. He decides to just abandon his world entirely.
He has to. And to do that, he needs some serious tools.
The Realm Crystal.
Exactly. He creates the Realm Crystal, and this is his key to the multiverse. It lets him access any of the 16 realms of creation.
Any of them.
Well, almost. The sources give us one really specific and I think fascinating exception. He could not travel to the departed realm.
Wait, hold on. If he's the master of creation and destruction, why is the realm of total oblivion, the final end, off limits? That seems like a huge gap in his power.
I think it speaks to his core nature. The FSM is about the cycle, living creation, ongoing destruction, potential. The departed realm is finality. It's the end.
The void.
And maybe his very being, which is all about momentum, just couldn't interact with that absolute stop. That crystal was his ticket out. But it also shows he had vulnerabilities. It saved him from getting trapped in the Never Realm, for instance.
And before he left that first realm, there was also his bond with Firstborn, the mother of all dragons. That feels really central to his whole mission of trying to bridge that gap.
It was a foundational partnership. The two of them, they worked together to create the dragon armor.
And this wasn't just a piece of armor, was it?
No, not at all. It was a symbol, a literal attempt to create something that embodied peace between dragons and Oni, hybrid harmony. But, the peace effort failed. The war was just too much.
So he left.
He left, and Firstborn guarded that armor, just waiting, hoping he'd eventually come back.
Yeah.
It's a pretty poignant detail that his greatest attempt at diplomacy was ultimately a failure.
But his quest for power didn't end there. After leaving, he meets the Seven Source Dragons. This is where he goes from being just a hybrid to something more.
This is a pivotal moment. He becomes a conduit for universal energy. He makes a deal with them. He gets most of the elemental powers, including the critical golden power.
And in exchange?
In exchange, he promises to share those powers with mortals. And that's how the lineages of the elemental masters begin. He basically gets the mandate and the power to build a new world. Now he just needed to find one.
And the world he found was not exactly a blank slate.
Not at all. It was chaotic. Mostly a vast ocean ruled by this enormous sea serpent, Wajira, who controlled the waves and the wind. You can't build a civilization on that.
So he had to calm the seas first.
Right, but he didn't do it alone. This part of the lore is incredible. Wajira was only defeated because Naiad, the first elemental master of water, sacrificed her physical body. She merged with the ocean itself to fight the serpent.
Wow, an act of creation requiring the ultimate price.
And the FSM recognized that. After Wajir was beaten, he took the spoils of that war, the Storm Amulet and the Wave Amulet, and he gave them to the local leaders, the Islanders and the Merlopians. It was a reward, and a way to ensure the calm he needed would last.
Okay, so the groundwork is laid, the water is settled, and now he starts to build. But he doesn't just, wave his hands and make a continent. He forges artifacts, the 4 golden weapons of Spinjitzu.
Right, and that's a key choice. Why use tools?
Yeah, why channel his power?
Because using his raw hybrid power might have created something unstable, something that reflected the very conflict he was running from, The weapons, the sword of fire, scythe of quakes, nunchucks of lightning, and shurikens of ice, they offered precision.
A controlled creation.
Exactly. He forges them in the Temple of Light using gold from the Golden Peaks. It was a deliberate, meticulous process. And with those weapons, he created the island of Ninjago. He even transplanted creatures like the Serpentine from another realm to populate it.
But creating a world of pure light, well, that has consequences. You can't have light without shadow.
And that shadow was the Overlord. The sources describe him as a direct counterbalance, an evil spirit of pure darkness that just manifested.
They fought for a long time.
A very long time. It was a war that almost tore his new creation apart. And then the Overlord created an army that was functionally indestructible, the Stone Army. This is what pushed the FSM to the absolute brink.
So he's about to lose. If he's the master of balance, isn't physically splitting the world apart the ultimate admission that he failed to find that balance?
It's a necessary contradiction, isn't it? The only way to win was to embrace his destructive Oni side, but to use it in the service of creation.
So he cleaves the land into...
Creates Ninjago and the Dark Island. The act itself defeated the Overlord's physical form and trapped his spirit, but it was a permanent, forced separation. It just shows the terrible cost of maintaining peace.
The sheer power to do that is just staggering, and he knew the Overlord would be back, right? He started planning for it immediately.
His foresight is incredible. He seals the entire Stone Army away in this massive tomb. And more importantly, he hides his golden mech in the Temple of Light. He was anticipating that one day a successor would need the power of the original creator. He set up all the systems for the future.
Let's pivot a bit to his personal powers. We know he's the ultimate conduit, but the sources paint a really interesting picture of his limitations.
For sure. So innately he has creation and destruction from his birth. He masters the four main elements: fire, lightning, earth, ice. He develops Spinjitzu, his unique style being the Golden Dragon. Plus he lives for thousands of years.
But there are elements he just didn't have.
Right. Water, wind, amber, darkness, and chaos. And what's really fascinating is that he apparently tried to hide this from his sons.
He lied to them.
The lore calls it his tall tale. He told them a fairy tale claiming he had mastered all the elements. But the scroll that lists his powers conveniently leaves out water and wind.
Because they belong to Wujira.
Because they belong to Wujira and were tamed by Naiad's sacrifice, not his own power.
So why lie? Why would a near god, this ultimate authority, lie to his own children about what he could do? What does that say about him?
It suggests, well, maybe an insecurity. Or a desire to maintain this image of complete omnipotence so they would trust his guidance without question. It means the man who always preached about having faith was also capable of deception.
Which brings us right to his personal paradox. He's described as kind, patient, the guy who tells his sons to have faith while they're fishing, but he also had this harsher side that was just devastating.
Absolutely devastating. Look at the incident with the scrolls of forbidden Spinjitzu. His sons steal them, a really dangerous, corrupting act.
So he punishes them.
But his response isn't anger. It's years of this crushing emotional withdrawal. The sources say he grew more silent than ever. That kind of rejection is arguably so much heavier than any physical punishment.
And he applied that same unforgiving standard to others too. His student, Ninjago.
That's a really painful story. He trained her, but then rejected her completely because she was accused of stealing one of his katanas. He apparently refused to even hear her side of the story.
So the ultimate master of balance couldn't always balance judgment and mercy?
Exactly. It seems his patience had very clear limits, especially when it came to betrayal.
Okay, so what about his current status? His body was found in a tomb, but he's listed as unknown. The implication is a being like him doesn't really die.
That's the prevailing theory. He simply departed his mortal vessel, chose to leave his body behind, and his spirit is still very much active. He's known to summon people to the grasslands, like his grandson Lloyd, to offer guidance. His work is still going on.
And that brings us to his ultimate tragedy, his legacy. His two sons, Wu and Garmadon, they literally inherited the dualism he tried to escape.
It was a time bomb. Wu got the creation and dragon traits, Garmadon got the destruction and Oni traits.
And the trigger was something so small, so mundane.
A dropped katana. Garmadon goes to get it for Wu, he gets bitten by the Great Devourer, and in that moment, everything fractures. The venom wasn't just poison. It was the Overlord's tool to corrupt him.
How did the FSM react?
It was devastating for him. When Garmadon lashes out, full of venom and hate, the FSM began to no longer recognize his oldest son. Think about that. The ultimate creator fails the one thing he created out of personal love, his own child.
He could manage cosmic forces, but not the venom in his son's blood.
Or the trauma that came with it. And that's the central irony. He builds Ninjago to escape conflict, only for that same conflict to take root inside his own heir.
And what's so chilling is that Garmadon, even as a villain, was still trying to honor his father in some twisted way.
In a deeply perverted way, yes.
Yeah.
He protected Ninjago through evil means, seeing himself as continuing that destructive balance. The sources even point out that his giant war machine, the Colossus, was subconsciously modeled on his father's golden mech.
Wow. The son idolizing the father even while trying to tear down his world.
It's the deepest level of tragedy.
But the legacy does find its way back. It moves to the next generation, to his grandson, Lloyd.
And that's the redemption arc. The duty of the golden weapons eventually passes to Lloyd, the Green Ninja. It's fitting that the FSM's last major act is spiritual. He summons Lloyd to the grasslands, praises him for saving Ninjago, and gives him his blessing.
And Wu continues the legacy.
Wu wears the dragon armor, carrying that physical symbol of his father's first attempt at peace.
So this whole deep dive, it's really been about a life defined by managing these incredible contradictory powers. Becoming that universal conduit, it really does confirm his role as the paramount figure of balance.
But that balance was always so fragile. He was the ultimate hybrid, trying so hard to stay neutral. And yet his own son, Garmadon, accused him of playing favorites, of always liking Wu more. That perceived failure, whether it was real or not, it colored everything that came after.
This heavy lesson.
That managing a universe can sometimes be easier than managing a family.
So what does this all mean?
It means that the founder of an entire realm, a being of literal cosmic power, was also intensely human. Human in his failures as a parent, as a mentor. His quest for perfect balance led him to make these huge, sometimes destructive decisions that saved the world, but really shattered his own home.
And here is a final provocative thought for you to consider. Although the first Spinjitzu Master created Ninjago to escape the endless, defining conflict of dragons and Oni, his own true name remains a mystery. Why would the founder of an entire civilization, someone so committed to balance and legacy, ensure that his most fundamental identity was forgotten by the very world he saved?